In this section, we are going to look at HTML forms. Forms are used to collect data from the user, and forms are defined using the form element. So, to create a HTML form, use the form opening tag and the form closing tag. And the form have several attributes. The first attribute that we can look at is the action attribute. The action attribute is used to point to a web page that will load after the user submits the form. So this can be a web page or a file such as process.php. So this file will process the form data when we submit this form. We are going to avoid this action attribute because a server-sided programming language such as PHP, Python, Java, etc. is used to handle that action attribute. Another attribute that is handled by the server-sided programming language is the post or get. So when you use get value on the method attribute, the data will appear on the URL, meaning that get is not secure for sensitive data. Instead, post is used when you are using sensitive data such as passwords and emails in your form. So again, we are not going to look at the method attribute in this case. So to capture the user data, we use the input element. So input the input element have several attributes such as type. So the type allows us to select the type of data that we want, and you can see that there is a list of them, and in this case we are going to use text, but you can try all the others: text, URL, email, password, numbers, all of them. So in this case we can use text, and then we can include the name attribute. The name attribute can be username, and then we can include a clue of what is required when the user sees these forms, and we can use the placeholder attribute. So the placeholder attribute gives the users a clue what is required of them. Yeah, a label is also a clue of what is required. So use the label attribute here, and you can say username like that, and then include a br tag to break this one to be arranged nicely. Also a br tag at the end here. Another input type that we are going to look at is the radio input type. So the radio input type is used when you want the user to select only one option. So we can have several options such as, let's say, gender. So we can include the name here to be gender, that way, and then we can include another attribute of value to be let's say you can use any number here. I'm going to use 2 because my one is not marking, and I have to copy paste the one every time I want to use it. So I'm just going to use the 2, but you can use the 1 if you want. And then in this case, after crossing this file this way, not the file, but after closing the input element, you can include male here because we are looking at the gender, and then a br tag at the end, that way. I'm going to copy this and paste it down here because what we have here is almost exactly the same. The only thing that we are changing is the 3, and instead of male, let it be female. Good. Another input type that we are going to look at is the button. So in this case the type is submit. So this will automatically create a button for us, and then the value, let it be submit also. Oh shit, I'm so poor at typing, I'm sorry. That way, so I'll save this file go back to the browser and refresh. Boom. So you can see that this is the label that we included, the username, and then the username inside this box is the placeholder that we included. And in this case now you can include a username such as Chaoo Charles. And then we have two options here, male, am I a male or am I a female? So you can choose one of them. And then we have a submit button. So you can also use the check boxes if you want to select multiple instead of one. You just change the radio from radio to checkbox. So this will allow us to select both male and female. When I refresh this one, are you a male and are you a female? Okay, you can be both. I don't know. Another thing that we can look at is how to create a drop-down list. So back to the code editor. So to create a drop-down list, we are going to use the input, and with the ID maybe, or maybe want a drop-down list of fruits, so I will say ID of fruit, and then the type will be text because fruit is in text form, so type text that way. And then we can add another attribute of list, so this will allow us to list several types of fruit. So here I can say maybe type of fruits, so TF, that is good enough. So this is just to show you how it is done. I'm not like creating a real site here. And below here you can include another element, that is the data list. So data list will define a list of predefined option. So data list with the ID should be the same as list. So when you include an ID here, make sure that it is the same as this list attribute. So I'll copy the TF and include it in the ID for this to work. And then I'll close this one. Inside the data list tags, I'm going to use another element, that is the option. So the option element defines an option in a drop-down list. So it will list the options that you can select, and then the option have the value attribute. Now here you can list the type, like orange. We are dealing with fruits here. Do you love fruits? And then that's the option, and it doesn't have the crossing tag, so it is just simple like that. I'm going to copy paste this one several times and arrange it nicely here. And then instead of orange, let's say apple. Then instead of orange again, we say banana. So I will save this file, head back to the browser, refresh. So you can see that we have another field and we have a drop down list. So a user can select one of them, orange, apple, banana. And maybe you can add a label at the top here to give the user a clue. So I'll copy paste this label, and then just before the data list, just before the input field, I'm going to paste it there, and maybe you can see, maybe it is a question, maybe what is your favorite fruit? Okay, that way. And then a BR tag here and a question mark, and then here you can put full column. I'll save this file, head back to the browser and refresh. So you can see what is your favorite fruit, and then you have a list of options to choose, maybe banana. Then you can submit the form. So there are other attributes, maybe to add some form of validation. When you submit this form, you can see that it have just refreshed, but because we didn't include the action attribute. And then I will zoom this one again so that you can see everything clearly. So when we submitted, well, when we submitted, you have seen that it have refreshed, but we can add some form of validation using the required attribute. So when I say here required, this will add some form of validation. It will allow us to submit this form. When I refresh and try to submit this form, you can see please fill out this field because of the required attribute. So by now maybe you are not an expert in HTML, but you have a good grounding to continue learning more. So I will include some links at the bottom of this video to some resources that you can use to advance your skills. And this marks the end of this HTML series. The next thing that we are going to look at is CSS. So make sure to subscribe and turn on post notification for more tutorials each week. Thank you.